We're going to be talking about the Raw review last night, what happened. It was a very good show, a lot of good segments. Not too many matches, though, but we'll get started. First, John Cena opens the show, and he has both titles. The funny thing is was it last week that Ric Flair came and he handed Ric Flair the belt, the world title, so I thought maybe that was going to be retired. I guess not, though, unless they're going to redo the belts, because that's what they're supposed to do. They were supposed to do the belts and put the WWE Network logo on them. But he talks about Brock Lesnar, and he says that, he's going to be in the fight of his life. And then he knows he's going to get beat up, all that good stuff. And then Paul interrupts him and says pretty much that Brock's going to win and that John Cena doesn't have a chance. And John Cena starts getting a little bit mad and everything like that, and saying that he's not going to lie down. He's going to walk out still as champ. And so then Cesaro interrupts and says that Cena can't wrestle and that he wants to match with Cena. And so, Joe, what are your thoughts on that? Did you think it was a good segment?
I caught some of the bullet points. I had missed the first half hour Raw. I did catch the bullet points of it, though, as they were replaying the promo segment. I thought John did evoke the proper emotion that was necessary to build this match. I feel like at times he gets too hokey in some of the build of some of these matches if he doesn't take it seriously. But he was putting out genuine emotion and really trying to set the stage. I personally would love it if they actually connected the dots and talk about their match at last year's Extreme Rules, or even their prior matchups in the 2003 Ruthless Aggression era. So I feel like WWE too much ignores the history, but I do think the promo segment was good. Paul Lee hit the points good, and great to see Cesaro coming out. Now, did it seem like Cesaro and Paul Lee were aligned at all, or like did they not even look at each other? How did that play out?
Cesaro, the funny thing is people think that Cesaro can't talk, and I think he can talk actually very well. You could tell that he was a little bit nervous, though. He was just kind of thinking of stuff to say, trying to get John Cena, mad, whatever he could do to get John Cena mad. But the whole segment was very good. I thought Antonio Cesaro was very good with his talking, very good insults, just the right amount of insults, just to get John Cena. But what I would have liked to seen was, him bringing up the match and that he did beat Brock Lesnar before, and that he can use that against, Brock Lesnar and Paul, I beat him before, so technically it's my advantage. But I thought the segment was very good.
I do say I feel like it was a mistake to have John defeat Brock at Extreme Rules last year. I felt like it was a mistake when it happened. Killed Brock's momentum right out the bat.
Definitely. So then they have a match, John Cena versus Cesaro, and that was a very good back and forth match. I thought it was very well, and he wins with the attitude adjustment on the second rope. It was a very good match, though. Had a lot of good, John Cena actually. Some wrestlers, he can't really show off his skills that well, but and that's why a lot of people don't like John Cena, but I thought him and Cesaro had a very good match. I thought they both had a good back-and-forth match, and I thought he worked well with Cesaro. What do you think, Joe?
I think some of the ROH guys who have come in, Punk, Daniel Bryan, him and Daniel had the great match at SummerSlam last year, Cesaro. These guys are legit workers. It reminds me of when Jericho and, how dare we say, Benoit and all these guys, Guerrero and all these guys are around in the Ruthless Aggression era. A lot of great technical wrestlers. So these guys, if you remember, Edge was a great matchup for John Cena. Usually the technical wrestlers can play off of John Cena and can work well with him. It's when he's working with someone who's either too green or too, of the same mold of being a sports entertainer and not a wrestler that I think it gets a little headachy with his matches. But I thought it was good. I do think his spots get redundant. We've seen him use that AA off the second rope a few times to win matches throughout the year. So it's not like it's a rich. But, good matchup. Anytime Cesaro and Cena lock horns, it's only good for the both of them. And Cesaro being affiliated with the Authority, being, like you said, talking on his own merit, talks 5 different languages. It seems like him being away from Paul Heyman has already benefited him.
Definitely. He definitely can work on his talking, but I really do not think he's a bad talker at all. I think he's got the full package. I think he definitely needs a push, and he proved it with having a very good match with John Cena. Then,
do the
sorry.
Cesaro. No, it's okay. Funny thing is, they're not letting him do the Cesaro swing right now because it gets too much of a face pop, and they want to keep him a heel.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. I think he needs to turn face. They were going to turn him face, and then they put him with Paul Heyman, which I didn't get that. I don't know about you, but I think he needed to turn face. I don't think that he needed to be with Paul Heyman. And now they're saying that they didn't want Paul Heyman with two guys, so that's why they split him up, because they want him to focus on Brock Lesnar, obviously.
Honestly, besides Brock and CM Punk, who obviously Paul has tremendous chemistry with, of his recent clients, I'm not talking about his old Ruthless Aggression era clients, of his recent clients, really only Brock and Punk have been home runs. Ryback obviously was a failure and led to no culmination with a feud. And the same thing, like now it's back-to-back with Cesaro. Leaves the Real Americans, should have turned babyface, the crowd was behind him, wins at WrestleMania, the Battle Royal, Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and then just the swerve of Paul Heyman. And I thought maybe we'd get manager wars, kind of like we've seen with Lana and Uncle Zeb, which has been quite entertaining. But I thought we'd get that, and no blow-off. I mean, how cool would it have been to at least get a month of Paul E. and Zeb back and forth without him having to focus on Brock? So that's why I put it on the writing staff. I feel like Paul's done the best, but you can only do the best he can given.
Definitely. So then we move into a segment backstage with Stephanie and Triple H. She talks about how her daughter seen her in jail and the look in her eyes and how upset she is. And then Randy interrupts, and he gets pissed. He's just like, what is this, giving Brock Lesnar my rematch? You know, I haven't even gotten my rematch yet. And he's right. He hasn't even gotten his rematch on either time that he's lost, technically a single match. He's right. And he said that, you know, this wasn't fair that Roman, you know, stole the opportunity from him, and Triple H said, you know what, I'm not changing the match, so if you have a problem with Roman, you got to fix it yourself. And Randy's just like, you know what, I will fix it. And so then he announces it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Kane later on tonight. What do you think about Randy Orton not getting his title shot? Do you think that's fair? I mean, I like the guy a lot, and I think that I know a lot of people are probably getting sick of him, but I really would like to see him as champion. What about you? What do you think?
It's interesting because for a few years I felt like Randy took more of a mid-card role, and then he beat Christian for the title after Christian finally won the title. We all went right back to hating Randy. And that kind of wasn't good for him. I thought he did good work last year with Bryan as being the heel that Bryan was chasing throughout that whole Yes movement last year. So I think Randy did a good job, but I don't think Randy... I mean, look, I don't think it was fair that he didn't get a one-on-one shot. I felt like either Randy or Batista should have gotten one-on-one shots at Bryan instead of Kane initially after WrestleMania. I thought that was bad booking. Instead, they went with the Shield versus Evolution, which gave rise to Seth's turn. So they've made good out of that, but I felt like Kane was a disservice to Daniel Bryan right off the bat, and I would have wanted to see Orton and Bryan at Extreme Rules as opposed to Bryan and Kane. Absolutely.
Definitely. Randy and Bryan have very good matches. Randy really doesn't have any bad matches. He's a very good heel. He knows how to talk very well. And he's just very talented. You know, I know he's been having problems backstage with Roman. I guess that's like a huge thing that keeps popping up on my wrestling feeds and stuff like that, that he's been having a huge problem with Roman backstage, saying that he doesn't think he's very good, and they're having a lot of bickering. So this is why this is so good that Roman and Randy are going to be feuding, because, you know, they obviously have tension backstage, so, you know, they can use some of that, you know, in the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be fuel for the fire. I mean, look, everybody's trying to hold on to their spot, and Randy's had his spot for over a decade, and Roman Reigns is obviously the next big thing. People are going to get intimidated. Randy Orton's done this in the past to Ken Anderson, to Umaga, to others. So this is what I love Randy as the wrestler and even as the character, but this is what annoys me about Randy the person, is that he's taken people who are friends of his, like Ken Anderson, and ran him out of the business because they were getting bigger pushes than him, and like found excuses like, oh, he was trying to hurt me in a match or whatever. I heard this all derived from a house show where Randy was working Roman in a manner that particularly didn't provide a shine to Roman, so it was kind of like squashing Roman in the ring or whatever the case may be. So Randy needs to be a professional. This business is about making the next superstars, and there ain't going to be a WWE if the Roman Reigns and the Dean Ambrose and the Seth Rollins and the Cesaros and the et cetera, don't break through. John Cena is rumored to be doing more movies, which I think is a good thing for him and for the business. We'll get to that maybe later or in another show. But honestly, we need fresh faces, and Randy, at this point, Randy is in a position to help elevate talent, and that's why he needs to take his role seriously. He's a 12-time champ. He doesn't need the title anymore. I'm sure he'll get it one or two more times, but at this point, with Brock being in the picture, I don't see him getting the title.
Yeah, I see him feuding with Roman, definitely, for a while.
It's interesting because they're almost planting seeds for Randy and Trips to have dissension. And I've heard a rumor that maybe you could see a triple threat at Mania, All Evolution, Batista, Randy, and Triple H. That's the rumor I heard.
That would actually be a very good match.
I could do that.
Definitely. And next, I loved this segment, one of my favorites of the night. Paige comes out skipping. I love Paige. I've always been a huge fan of Paige. And she says she regrets hurting AJ. She said she was not acting on her. She was acting on her emotions and stuff, and her emotions got the better of her, and she's very sorry. And so AJ comes out. And AJ says, I'm not buying anything you say. And then Paige is like, oh, wait, we're friends, And then AJ gets mad and said she wasn't done talking, and she says that Paige took the title from her too, so she knows how upset it made Paige for her to take the title from her. And Paige made the mistake of calling AJ the C word, crazy. AJ, and you know how AJ gets when you call her crazy. She loses it, and she attacks her and says she had mental problems too. And so AJ attacks Paige. And Paige is saying, why are you doing this? We're supposed to be friends. And the whole thing was just very good. The whole good segment. I really like Paige as a heel. I think they work better as a Paige as a heel and AJ as a face. I never really was a huge fan of AJ. I can respect her in the ring, but I never really liked her. Paige has always been my number one girl. I think this feud's going to be great, and I think they're going to have a great match at SummerSlam. What do you think, Joe?
I think the roles are in the proper places. It was an interesting double switch with AJ becoming face. I am a huge fan of AJ. I loved her and Caitlyn as they broke out together from NXT Season 3 or whatever it was and following there. I respect AJ because I know she's in the business for the right reasons. She respects it. She loves it. And the same thing can be said for Paige. I didn't see a lot of NXT. I know she did the anti-diva gimmick, and I believe that was more on the heel-ish side of things, wasn't it?
Definitely.
Well, I feel like this current role now caters to her strengths. I felt like she probably felt in a square peg being this little 21-year-old babyface champion. Now the roles are reversed, and we're seeing the emotion, the screams, the anger, what makes Paige Paige, and the layers that adds to her character, and I think that's really helping her. And it's the best thing they could have done was turn her heel. Absolutely.
Definitely. She makes a way better heel, definitely. And I was excited to make her, they made her heel because she has not been heel yet, except for when she was in FCW. When they had FCW, she was a heel at the very beginning. But other than that, they've had her work as a babyface. So, I'm just really happy. I think AJ was getting a little stale, too, so it's good that they changed her babyface, and now maybe the fans can get more behind her. And, Paige can get the heat and everything so she can start screaming and everything. Just the whole thing was very good, and I'm very excited that they reversed roles.
As they got the CM Punk chance, they're good to go.
Definitely. And AJ, her face expressions when they do CM Punk chant, she just smiles and looks at the camera. I don't know if you've seen that last week, but she just smiled and just went like this at the camera. It was just so funny.
His expression when Stephanie got arrested last week. He was laughing the whole time. Good old man.
Oh, that was just so great. But a very good segment, though. Very good segment. Yeah. I'm excited for their match.
It does. It makes me excited for the match, and that's what they're doing. They're building towards SummerSlam, and they hit a home run with building towards SummerSlam this week.
Yeah. And then Stephanie and Triple H head to the ring. He says he's disgusted with the fans. He says that it was humiliating that they were cheering and laughing when Stephanie got arrested last week for slapping Brie. And then Stephanie starts to cry, has water in her eyes. And then Chris comes out. And when Chris came out, I mean, they have some history, Chris and Stephanie from the past. I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be so great. Me and my brother were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And he sings Bad Boys. Starts singing Bad Boys. And he says Orange is the New Black, and he just keeps throwing stuff at her. And she's just getting more and more upset, and she's saying that she doesn't deserve this, and that jail was just horrible, and it's changed her as a person, and that he says that he wants Bray Wyatt. Chris Jericho's just like, I want Bray Wyatt, and I want him now. And Triple H is just like, oh, you'll get Bray Wyatt, but it won't be now. It'll be at SummerSlam. Ask for your opponent now. And then my man, my Seth, you guys know I love Seth. Seth Rollins comes out and attacks him with the briefcase from behind. And it is announced that Seth and Chris are fighting on later tonight. This was a good segment from Chris. He's always very good with his promos. He always gets the crowd going. Very funny stuff. Him and Stephanie have a lot of good history together. I wish they would have done a little bit more with him and Stephanie, but it was a good amount. They have to keep it. It's not an Attitude Era anymore. It's PG show, so they couldn't really do too much with it. But it was a good segment.
Absolutely, Haley. I mean, just brought me back the nostalgia of Jericho and Stephanie, and really how it helped elevate Jericho to the main event status back in the McMahon-Helmsley era, and. I mean, just they still have that chemistry, and it just sent goosebumps. He did the filthy, dirty, trash bag, bottom feeding line, and the crowd popped big time. And Jericho had him eating out of the palm of their hand. And then when they announced the match with him and Seth, I was very excited. I knew that was going to be a show stealer. Jericho's there to work with these young guys and to make them look good, and I knew that would provide some great chemistry. The young lion and the old Lionheart, if you will.
Definitely. But a very good match. I'm excited for Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho. Hopefully Bray Wyatt will win this time. I think Chris likes to put over guys. When he comes back, that's the thing with Chris Jericho. He likes to put over guys. Like, for example, who did he put over last time?
Fandango.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, he just puts over everybody, and it's so good. He puts them over if they deserve it, and and I like that about him. And he put over, someone who they have put down in the gutter, Fandango. I really like Fandango too, by the way, but I'll talk about him later because he has a match. But that's what he does. He puts over guys, and it's just so good. And so I think Bray Wyatt really needs to win this time, especially since it's SummerSlam, the big event. It'll make Bray Wyatt have a nice push and get him ready for the main event.
I was shocked that they let Jericho go over at the previous pay-per-view, but it does set up a good rematch. And Jericho will put him over the right way. I'm a true Jerichoholic, and I think that's why a lot of the IWC loves Jericho, because he comes back for the right reasons. I mean, put over Fandango. I think a lot of us Jerichoholics, myself included, were a little upset. I mean, yeah, Fandango got the rub, but what have they done with it? Nothing. So, although they said that he got the same payday as WrestleMania as he did the year before for working Punk in the title match, so they took care of him.
Definitely. But I'm excited for this match. SummerSlam's looking like a pretty good card right now.
Absolutely.
And then they have Miz and Ryback versus the Usos and Dolph Ziggler. This was an average match.
Decent
and then you
middle.
see Kofi, Woods, and Big E watching backstage. I don't know what they're gonna do with them. I really hope they turn them heel, because Kofi is one of the people that I get a lot of hate for from this. I do not like Kofi. I can't get behind him. Yes, he's talented, but just his character is so stale that I can't watch him. I can't watch him talking. His promos are just, oh my God, I can't watch him talking. So I think if they turn them all three heel, this will be really, really good. This will be a good heel group, you know. They got the big guy, they got the athletic guy. It's almost like the Shield, pretty much, you know, because they got the athletic guy like Seth, they got the big guy, Big E, you know. So it's very good, you know. And I really hope they turn them heel though, because this will be very good for Kofi's character. You know, it'll be a fresh thing. He's never been heel before, and that's because, you know, he's for the little kids, kind of like John Cena. That's why they won't turn him heel. He's for the little kids, and it's gonna break the little kids' heart if they turn him heel. So we'll see how it goes. They were watching the match, and then they come out, which I didn't even see them come out. They must have came out after commercial, and they were just watching the match, like, and they didn't do anything. They didn't interfere. They didn't give anyone a handshake or anything. They just watched the match. So I'm not sure what that was about, if they're going to do anything soon, but it's all fun with the zigzag on Ryback. And like I said, it was an average match, but I really hope that they turn these guys heels, because I really think Big E's better as a heel. I like Big E. I think he's a good big guy wrestler. And definitely, because a lot of the bigger guys can't really do too much in the ring, and I think Big E's one of them where he can do a little bit more in the ring. And Woods, I haven't seen him as a heel yet. I know he was in ROH. I'm not sure if he was a heel in ROH. I'm not sure. Do you know if he was a heel or?
Well, I know he was in TNA, and he was more of a babyface in TNA, but it's funny, like, he's always channeling someone in his character. He kind of channeled Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies for his character in TNA. He was known as Consequences Creed. He had the big hat, American colors, like Apollo Creed. So they paired him up with R-Truth and stuff like that. But they really haven't done anything with Xavier Woods. He's just been a put-over guy. You wouldn't know anything about him if you just based it on WWE. Now, obviously, with this is very interesting. It looks like this cushion of domination. And obviously we're stereotyping because of various things, skin color and other things, and that's not necessarily right. But it would appear to be that the internet's been talking about this for a long time. Could they reboot the nation? And now all of a sudden you get 3 disgruntled baby faces who've been just chewed up and spit out. Big E, I think, needs to be rejuvenated because he entertains me when he's on Instagram with his vines, but for some reason he's a good talker, but he's not a good promo. Like, you know what I mean? And like Kofi, I'm gonna give you some history lesson on Kofi. Kofi started in New England, in the New England area, chaotic wrestling. He's actually from the Massachusetts area, and he was a heel for a lot of that stretch. And he did this like kind of African entitled gimmick. His name was Kofi Nahaja Kingston, and he was sitting there almost cutting like Lana-esque promos, like anti-American. And I think he could step up to the plate. I think people haven't seen that side of him. Like you said, for the kids, he does the spots in the Battle Royals and the Royal Rumbles, kind of took John Morrison's spot as that guy. You know, and he's only been held to a certain glass ceiling. You know, they need to do something with him. People forget, a couple years ago, I think it was 2009, he worked a program at Randy Orton. We were talking about Randy Orton earlier. This comes up again. He worked a program at Randy Orton, and it looked like that was going to be his springboard to the main event. And then something happened where Kofi and Randy had an incident in the ring, and I think Kofi messed up a spot, and like Randy kind of jobbed him out in the ring, was yelling at him, stupid, stupid, and all this stuff. And that was the end of Kofi Kingston pushed. He's been just mid-card guy ever since. So hopefully, I mean, there's another Randy Orton incident for you. But hopefully, I'm rooting for Kofi. I like him as an entertainer, as a wrestler. And I tend to be a fan of the guys from New England, the guys like Kofi, the guys like Damian Sandow. So I'm rooting for Kofi, and I think this could be a fresh start. And hey, you throw Mark Henry in there's an original Nation member. So.
Definitely. That's the thing, though, with Randy, too. He doesn't like to put over guys at all. Like, he thinks he's like, and I love Randy, but he just thinks he's so much better than everybody else, and that, like, any new talent he doesn't like. And I'm sure he's probably going to have his problems with Seth, too, because Seth's getting that push now, and I'm sure he's going to have a problem with Seth, too. But Roman, and Kofi, just everything. Just he needs to learn to work with others. But Kofi, yes, I definitely want to see him as heel. I really hope they change him heel. I will be so happy. I will actually probably start being a fan of him if he turns heel and they actually do something different with him, because I'm a heel person. I do prefer heels over faces for most of the time, but It's just his character has gotten so stale. So if they do something different with him, and I actually get to see him talking and do more promos, I might actually start liking it because I do like his talent. I think he is very talented.
It appears their position is to get the leader of this group, and that would be big for him. I know Xavier Woods is the talker, and I feel like they're channeling Al Sharpton to kind of influence his character. As I was talking about earlier, he's always using influences, kind of like almost how Farouk Ron Simmons used Minister Farrakhan for his inspiration in the original Nation of Dominators.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had, now this match upset me. This match probably made everyone else laugh, but this match upset me. R-Truth versus Bo Dallas.
Weak!
I like Bo a lot.
Whoa!
And I think he had good momentum. And I know his undefeated streak wasn't going to last very much longer, but I'm just like, really? R-Truth, you really got to make R-Truth beat him. And nothing against R-Truth, but it's just I would have preferred Dolph Ziggler doing it, because then that would have been a nice push for Dolph Ziggler, or just someone really that deserves it. And it's just that just killed his momentum. And I think they did it because Bo Dallas was saying how R-Truth hasn't won a match in so long, and so he was being cocky, and so R-Truth, they wanted to say R-Truth was going to prove him wrong, and so that's why they did it. At least that's what I think that's why they did. They picked him. But what do you think about this whole thing?
No more 18 and Bo, as you said. I'm still a Bo believer. I actually felt like this made Bo look strong, even though he had the loss. The loss was quick. It was a quick roll-up. That confused me. Again, a Ziggler beating him would have been more credible, or Miz, or someone with a little bit more credibility than Kofi, somebody, Roman Reigns. So I Dean Ambrose, Seth, any of those guys. But, him losing, I feel like it just showed his mean streak. Because I feel like they kind of want to portray him almost as, bipolar, where he's so positive, and then, at the drop of a hat.
No, that would be awesome.
So, I feel like they did a good job. We've seen him picking on El Torito and other people. I feel like it's kind of make him look like a hypocritical person. And I feel like it's not. It wasn't put it in this perspective. Kurt Angle, when he debuted, he was undefeated, and so Taz beat him in his debut. Not exactly equivalent to that for Bo in his loss.
Just everything. I'm a huge fan of Bo, and I really like his character. I know a lot of people find him annoying and stuff, but I think he's so funny how he's just so positive, and he goes "Hey, little buddy," and he gives him a handshake, and then he does a lap around the ring. He's just so entertaining. He's very talented too. The funny thing is I wasn't a fan of him first, and I didn't like him. I thought he was kind of stale. I was just this guy's annoying. He needs to put a paper bag over his head. And just everything. I just hated everything about him. It took me probably the end, right before he went to WWE, for me to really start liking him. I just really liked his character, and I just liked how positive he was. And it's just this is something new and different, and I really like him. And, he is talented, so I can't, bash on the guy for that. I'm definitely a believer, though.
Of a young Jericho. And I am a lifelong Jerichoholic. I've followed Jericho. He's one of my favorites of all time. Love Jericho. And he reminds me of a young Jericho. He's got a long way to go, but I do feel like he's going to get there. And be a star for a long time.
Definitely. Him and his brother getting the push at the same time, and if you guys didn't know, obviously Bray Wyatt is his brother in real life. But, yeah, I would love to see them both be pushed at the same time and hopefully have a feud against both of them. I would love to see them both feud with each other.
Brother versus brother last year. Thus, maybe we'll get it this year.
Yeah, definitely. One of them has to turn face, and they were talking about turning Bray Wyatt face for a while, too, and I haven't seen that yet. Because they were supposed to, obviously they seemed like they were going to split them up because they were having new music for Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, and then they had him for his own music. But they want to keep them for as long as he possibly can, I guess, he's a heel because they know as soon as they split him up. I mean, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are going to be a good tag team, but if they ever split Eric Rowan and Luke Harper up, Luke Harper will be fine on his own. Eric Rowan, sorry, I don't think he has what it takes. He's not going to be a good singles. I'd see maybe mid-Carter at most for Eric Rowan if they do split him up, but it's just like Luke Harper will be fine on his own, and so will Bray Wyatt, but Eric Rowan,
Eric Rowan is a poor man's Luke Gallows. And I feel like Luke Harper, he's so unique. He reminds me so much of Bruiser Brody. All you old school wrestling fans will get that reference. So he'll be fine, and he'll stand the test of time. But, yeah, I feel like if there is a weak link in the Wyatts, it is Rowan. What does he really do besides? I mean, he's a decent worker, but
he hasn't talked. He really doesn't. I mean, he's an okay wrestler. It's not like he's horrible or anything, but it's just like he's so much better as that tag team. So if they break them up, it's just like Eric Rowan is either going to get released or he's going to be a jobber. I really do. I really think. And that's sad to say, but it's the truth. I mean, I don't really see what else they could do with him unless they completely change his gimmick after they break up. But.
The Shield was so unique because all three guys are getting the upward push, and they're going to be stuck for a long time. And that's rare for a faction like that. I mean, you talk about the Freebirds. Michael Hayes was probably the biggest star. You know what I mean? Talk about DX, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Talk about NWO, Hogan, Nash. So there's always usually big star, Four Horsemen, Flair, Arn. So usually there's those big stars heading up it, and then there's your lesser guys. But the Shield really was equals, and yeah, maybe Roman will get the title first. Seth has the Money in the Bank. Dean's doing his own thing. But you can tell they're all ascending, and they're all going to be there for a long time.
Definitely. And then we have Lana and Rusev. And I'm really glad that they kept this storyline. I know there was rumors saying because she brought up the whole, Tin Tower, whatever, all that stuff, that and they just did not like that. And they were like, she wasn't supposed to do that. And, and she's so good at her job, too. She's just she can think of stuff, like, automatically, and, she's a very good manager. And so they were thinking about killing the whole thing with Jack and Rusev, and I'm really glad they didn't because Jack really needs to beat his undefeated streak. Jack, I am a huge fan of Jack Swagger. I've always been a fan of Jack Swagger. I think he is good. I do think they gave him the title a little too early when he won the world title. But other than that, though, he's a good wrestler. He deserves this, and this would be better. Because other than this, like they would have maybe Roman or John Cena, get his undefeated streak, and that's not. I mean, maybe Big Show too, because Big Show's back now. But it's just like Jack really deserves this. He's perfect for this feud. And it'll prove, this is like the most perfect guy for them to end Rusev's undefeated streak, And so Jack interrupts, and he comes out and he attacks Rusev and everything, and they're talking about what's so great about the American flag and everything like that. And obviously they're gonna still feud, which made me happy. They're probably gonna have I'm thinking like a flag match at SummerSlam, something like that, something along those lines. They're probably going to feud a couple more times, though. I think a couple more months. Like, maybe they'll have one more match and stuff like that. Like, Rusev only hung on by, like, a thread because he got a count-out last time because they didn't want to prove that Jack Swagger really technically got beat because he didn't get pinned, but they didn't want to just give him the match already, so they had to think of, and they might do the same thing at SummerSlam, like something like a count out or a disqualification match, something like that. And but it looks like Joe dropped out on me, so I guess I'll just continue. But the whole thing with Rusev is he's very talented. They're trying to really build him up and make him look good. And he is good, and him putting Lana with him is just great, because she's such a good manager, and she knows the right talking. She does everything so well, and she's just so good. And yeah, the whole feud with them is just so good because they're going with the America and everything like that, and the Russia, and just kind of feuding. And yeah, it was very good though. Joe, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know where I got back in. I don't know why the visual feed. She can hear
Yeah,
me.
I don't know what happened. I think we lost all our viewers too. Anyways, continue. I was just talking about how good of a manager Lana is and how good this feud is. But what do you think on this whole thing, this whole feud?
Like you said in the beginning, thank God they ended up continuing this for the payoff and everything. Because quite frankly, Jack Swagger does deserve it. Always the victim of circumstance. Last year probably would have beat Del Rio for the world title a couple years ago at Mania, but got caught with the pot arrest and stuff. And like he's always the victim of bad timing. And finally, he's getting over. Mick Foley did a thing on Twitter saying he could be the next Sergeant Slaughter if they do this right. And you know he's got the right manager in his corner with Zeb. People are feeling good about We the People chants and all this stuff. So they really need to continue it about him beating Rusev. It could happen. I think that would be awesome. I think they did the double count out to preserve them both and not make them look weak. And thank God they didn't cave in with the whole Malaysian comment that was made by Lana at the pay-per-view. And they get to have a culmination, at least at SummerSlam, if not going forward.
Definitely. Next is Damian Sandow versus Adam Cole. And Damian comes out dressed as, I guess he was Neil Armstrong. And poor Damian. I don't even like Damian, and I feel bad for him. My brother is a huge Damian Sandow fan, and he's going to be happy that I'm talking about Damian Sandow. A lot of people like Damian Sandow, and they think that he's very he's not getting the right enough attention, and they just killed his momentum. And but really the only thing I've seen, he is a good talker. The only good match I really seen that I really can remember is him and Xena. I mean, maybe if they pushed him after that and maybe gave him a title like an Intercontinental or the US title, then maybe, I would get behind him more. But other than that, I don't really see like a huge thing about Damian Sandow, but my brother really likes him. I just think it's funny that one time, I don't know if you've seen this, I think it was a few months ago, he goes handcuffed, and he did like this with his hands. He goes handcuffed, and me and my brother were trying to figure out what that was, and pretty much what that meant was they have him handcuffed, and I thought that was hilarious that he did that and said that. But what do you think about Damian Sandow?
Well, he's not one of those guys from New England like Kofi Kingston, who I've followed. He was known as Aaron Stevens in the Indies. I actually interviewed a guy on my show, The Strike Zone, Warbeard Hansen from Ring of Honor, and he had talked about working with Sandow in the past and how Sandow had first broken the WWE and all of that. Sandow's got all the talent in the world. I mean, hey, he's on television. At least they're featuring him every week. Obviously, he's getting jobbed out. I love the Freudian slip there when you said Adam Cole instead of Adam Rose. ROH, baby. But
did I say Adam Cole again? Oh my God, I do that all the time. I keep mixing them up.
That's ROH.
It's so bad because I love Adam Cole.
But yeah, I feel like Sandow, like you said, you saw what he could do against Cena, and we were talking about earlier. Cena's not a guy who you can just like that have a good match with. You got to be a good wrestler to keep up. Not necessarily keep up with Cena, but you make yourself and make Cena look good when you're wrestling Cena.
No, that is true.
Like, he's a good worker, and look, he's got all the skills in the world. He's trying to make this god-awful impersonation gimmick work, and we've seen people like Big Show come back from gimmicks like this and be strong characters. So it is possible he can come back. I hope so. I'm rooting for him. At least he's not wearing a leotard anymore.
Yeah, he's a good talker though, definitely. But Adam Rose, not Adam Cole. Sorry about that, guys. Adam Rose won pretty quickly. I think the match was like 30 seconds, which really makes my brother mad too because it's just like they totally kill him. I mean, it's just like they do his move pretty much. That's it. But Adam Rose, I'm kind of glad that they're staying with this gimmick for a little bit. I know they said that they were going to get rid of this gimmick because they didn't know what to do with them. Like, they were like, we don't know what to... do, and like we don't know what kind of feuds, whatever. But they said that they were already getting bored with them, and they were gonna probably put him back down to NXT already. But it doesn't seem. It seems like they're kind of slowly, you know, going back. I think they need to have him feud with just someone, and I think Damian Sandler would probably be that person. If they want to feud, with and it would actually be really good if Damian beat him eventually, and get his undefeated streak away, because that would be really good for Damian, and maybe it would build Adam Rose's character a little bit too. It'd be good for both of them, to tell you the truth.
It would hopefully start the ascension once again for Damian Sandow, and yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised they were thinking about calling him down. I'm gonna tell you right now, the best thing that happened to Adam Rose and his Rosebuds was Santino having to retire, because now they fill the comedy role with Adam Rose. If Santino hadn't retired, they might have brought him down.
Yeah, I think so too. And Damian's kind of like their comedy act too, so that's why I think those two work well together. They're both kind of like make it fun for the kids. They just have kind of their match and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think they could have a good, decent feud together. I mean, they need to do something with both of them. So why don't you just put them together? They're both comedy acts. Just have them both wrestle each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But and then we had Kane versus Roman. And now this match never happened because before Roman got into the ring, Randy came up behind him and attacked him, and Roman got away and everything, and he was doing fine for a while, and then Kane started jumping in on him, and then pretty much Kane choke slams Roman, and he just leaves. He just lets Randy do whatever he wants to Roman, and Randy, he beats up Roman pretty bad, and you could tell, like, I think this was some of the backstage stuff going on, because Randy, he was getting pretty vocal and stuff. I mean, he was getting his emotions were going all over the place, and he was getting pretty angry. And he did not one RKO. He did one RKO and the table didn't break, so he's just like, okay, I gotta go back and I gotta do it again. And he does a second RKO, and the table finally breaks.
And that looked like it pissed him off even more when it didn't break the first time. It was just like, oh man, freaking Randy.
It was just funny. That was a good segment though. Randy, it made Randy look very strong, and I still think obviously Roman's going to win at SummerSlam.
Oh.
Because I mean, if they're gonna put Roman over, obviously he's gonna have to beat Randy, and Randy's probably not gonna like that either, because they're gonna have to push him down. But he's just gonna have to live with it, because he's getting up there in age, so he's gonna have to retire in a few more years probably. But it makes Randy look strong, and it makes him look like the top guy. So then when they're trying to make Randy, look real good and real, up there, so then when Roman wins, they're going to try and make it look like a shocker, but, everyone's probably going to expect it anyways. But I think they're going to have a good feud. I hope they don't just feud until SummerSlam, but I supposedly, I think that is going to be their only match, at least for now, because I think it's going to be, they're talking about the Night of Champions, supposed to be like their big pay-per-view, because it's going to be 6 months for the WWE Network. So they really want people to get Night of Champions, and it's probably, I think the word is it's supposed to be Triple H versus Roman at Night of Champions. They were supposed to do this at SummerSlam, but they wanted to save it for Night of Champions. So, but I think Roman and Randy could have a very good feud if they just let them. But it's pretty much the Authority versus Roman now. So just anything to throw into Roman's path, without getting a push. But what do you think?
Two third-generation superstars, Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. I mean, they work well together. If Randy can just put his big boy pants on and be professional, I think it'll be fine. I worry that Randy's going to try to sabotage things, or either his ring work or backstage antics. That's my only concern. But, I mean, these two matching up, I got no problem with it. I think it's awesome. And I have no problem with the way they booked Randy on Raw. I feel like they had to make Randy look strong, because Randy had been in a losing streak since WrestleMania, had been kind of looked like Triple H's lackey pretty much over the past 6 to 8 months. So I feel like he needed a moment to look like that crazy Viper again, and not just a lackey.
Definitely. But yeah, this is gonna be a good feud, you know. The thing with Roman, I'm gonna state my opinions on Roman. He he's very talented, but I can't really get behind him. I've never really been a huge fan of him, probably because I don't like The Rock. I never did like The Rock. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate from that, but I'm not trying to take it out on Roman because I do like Roman way better than The Rock, but I've always liked Dean and Seth way more.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm a Dean
And
Ambrose
I
guy.
mean, he's a good wrestler. He's very good. Even Seth said in his interviews that like Roman is like so good. Like he was good before right when he came in, and so now he's just like really good. And thing with Roman though is he needs to work on his talking. If they're really gonna make him, you know, the face of the company before you know Dean and Seth, then he really needs to work on his talking because both of them have the full package.
Yep.
Seth the full package out of all three of them. That's just my opinion. I think Dean's a better talker, but Seth is like so talented and technical in the ring. He can do pretty much anything and work with anyone. That I think Seth should have been the #1 guy to push, but it looks like they're probably going to have Roman win it, WrestleMania, and then Seth cash it in. That's what I think. But
Steph will get the laugh though, if that's the case.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, Roman's good. He just needs to work on his talking. If he worked on his talking, he could definitely be good. I know a lot of people really like him. You know, the girls go gaga over him. Again, too, I'm not one of those girls that go gaga over him. I think Seth and Dean are more attractive, but that's just me. But yeah, he's a good wrestler. You know, I'm not bashing him or anything. I'm just not a huge fan of him. I like Randy more, but
I worry for Roman that Roman gets the John Cena label sooner rather than later, and the fans turn on him because he's gonna be the guy now shoved down our throat. So of course, like how long did John Cena after he beat JBL? Just a few months before the fans turned on him, and now it's been almost 10 years of it. So for Roman, obviously this is building. People predict maybe him and Brock at Mania with him beating Brock. It's going to make him look like Superman. He's got the moves. That Superman punch. Love it. I love the flying drop kick on the outside. I think he should utilize more the Superman punch as his primary finish than the spear, just because the spear is so overdone. He does it well. He doesn't do it crappy like Big Show and some of the people who have just been awful at it. He does it well. But I'd feature the Superman punch. And like you said, he's got to work on his talking a little bit more. You got to think, rolling with Dean and Seth for a year and a half, two great workers. Seth, a former Ring of Honor champion. Dean Ambrose, obviously CCW champion all across the indies. So I feel like when you're around two wrestling minds and two workers like that, you got no option but to evolve and get better. It's the whole adapt or perish kind of thing, I guess you could say. And Roman has adapted, and if you just look at when the Shield debuted, and like at that point Roman was just like kind of the quiet, muscular guy, and you could tell Dean was kind of trying to be the leader, and Seth, you know, certainly was a show stealer, and you know, a former NXT champ, so people knew. But Roman, he is growing to it. But like I said, I just hope. I'm glad they're still like. I'm glad he didn't win at Money in the Bank. Put it that way, because that would have been too soon. And let's see how it goes. I think if maybe he wins at WrestleMania and Seth cashes in at WrestleMania, which has never been done before, that would be the good enough heat to put it on Seth, the right person, as the heel, and keep having Roman be the chaser.
Definitely. Definitely. And I know people are going to say I'm biased because Seth is my favorite, but it's just like I think he's ready out of all three of them. And, you know, as much as I love Dean, too, I think Dean's going to win Money in the Bank next year. But,
Awesome.
you know, it's just the word is they're supposed to bring the Shield back. And what they're supposed to do is at Royal Rumble, all three of them are going to be the last three people in the ring, I guess. And obviously Roman's going to win so he can face a.k.a. supposedly Brock Lesnar, that's what the word is, at WrestleMania. But that's if Brock Lesnar's schedule works. You know, he could just win it at SummerSlam and leaves it at Night of Champions. Who knows? But yeah, they're supposed to have all three of them in the ring to kind of bring that kind of tension in there. And so hopefully, you know, something happens. I mean, I don't think that the Shield needs to be put together anytime soon. I think they're all three doing very well on their own. But you know, it would be nice, like maybe a few years down the road, if they kind of get back together, you know, just you know, because like that's like what DX did, you know, and that was enjoyable and everything to see them back together. But yeah,
It feels different than DX though. DX had all those legendary like promo segments and dressing up as the Nation and everything else. I'm not saying the Shield didn't have epic moments; they did, but they're all about destruction and chaos. And if they're gonna reunite 3 years later, all as main eventers, I don't know. I just feel like they could do a match or two, but I don't see how far they could get. I don't think it would be like Triple H and Shawn reuniting, and that ended up being kind of like this grumpy old men kind of vibe, which was entertaining. It was different than the prior incarnation of DX. I think it would hurt Dean Ambrose. It would hurt Seth. It would hurt both of them because I think Roman would probably be the more established character at that point. So it would almost look like Dean and Seth were kind of cowering back, you know.
definitely.
That's turned on them. I don't know. But as far as them being the final three in the Rumble, love that idea. That's awesome. I could sink my teeth into that.
Definitely. Very good tension in there, right there.
Oh,
yeah. Next we have Diego versus Fandango. Summer Rae and Layla obviously come out, which I expected as soon as I seen Fandango. I said, oh, yep, he's going to get screwed again. And Diego wins with a roll-up after a distraction. And my thing with Fandango, I really like the guy. I think he could have been a very good mid-carder, and they just totally killed him after he beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. They literally, I mean, for the next few months he was okay too, but like after that they just totally like killed him. And it's just like, why would you do that? Like have him beat like an amazing wrestler like Chris Jericho, one of the top guys, and then you're just gonna kill him and make him a jobber? It's just like and then now he doesn't even have a dance partner. Now he's completely alone. It's just like, and the funny thing is I'm pretty sure they were gonna give him the Intercontinental title when they put him in that match, but then they replaced him with Curtis Axel because he got hurt, and then Curtis Axel won. So I'm pretty sure that's why I think he was gonna win, because they replaced him with what they were gonna make the winner. And it was probably going to be his push, and they might have turned him babyface too, which I think he could do good with.
Dangoin was real popular and everything.
Yeah, and it's just like they just killed it since right when he got that concussion. It's just like, oh, you already got a concussion, your push is done, and that's what sucks too. That's like with Jack too. Like you said, the timing is just so bad. Like he got caught with weed. And so that just killed his main event skills, and he didn't get his title match at WrestleMania. And it's just like, it's sad, you know. But I mean, Fandango couldn't even help this. He just got a concussion, and you know, and it really saddens me because I like the guy. I do. I think he could have been a good main eventer or mid-carder. I'm not saying like he could have been a main eventer. I don't think he was good enough for that. Maybe if he worked for the next few years, but he's already, I think, already like 31 or 32. So, but he has a good finishing move. So I mean, it's just like he could have been a good mid card. You could have gave him the Intercontinental belt, the U.S. title. It's just like it's not, you know, it's kind of like with the Damian and the Bo Dallas and Kofi. They're all good, you know, and they all need the title, and they're just like, nope, we're going to make you a jobber, we're going to kill your momentum after you do so well. And it's just like, it's crazy how much they do that with guys. They give them a push, and then they just kill them completely.
Now, to me, there's two examples of that. You cited Jack Swagger. Another example comes to mind. Rob Van Dam, after he won the WWE title, cashed in on Cena, and he had the ECW champ. He got caught for pot with Sabu, and they had him drop both titles. Another example of that. I'm a huge Rob Van Dam fan, and I like Jack Swagger. But I understand why they would take those titles off of those individuals and kill their push, because those were legal in situations. Those also were bad PR for the company. But for the life of me, and I excuse my vulgarity, it pisses me off what they do to guys simply because of an injury or two. It's the business. People are gonna get hurt, and yeah, if you are too injury prone, you're not counted on. And to me, that's why I look at Fandango almost like it's Dolph Ziggler, and kind of in that category, because Ziggler was there, and then boom, got hurt, and then you know he's still fighting, but he's never quite back. Wade Barrett, another one. Look how long it took Wade Barrett to fight back, and then he gets hurt again. Who knows we'll ever see Wade Barrett in a serious role again. So, I mean, to me, and Fandango and Daniel Bryan could fall into that for all we know. You know, a guy who they don't feel comfortable trusting because too injury. Sad but true. This is why they count on John Cena so much, because he's such a damn prototype, as they say, a damn robot. He barely ever gets hurt. He comes back before injuries. Comes back faster than he should always. Whether it was the Royal Rumble or last year when he beat Berto for the world title, always. And it's like, it pisses the IWC off because we can't miss him. But at the same time, that's why the company relies on him so much. Not just because of the kids and everything else, but, I understand it. But for the life of me, like, guys get hurt, but it doesn't mean they're not valuable commodities. Like, does this mean you're going to assassinate Daniel Bryan? Who knows if Daniel Bryan will ever be a champ again or ever wrestle again? But are they going to assassinate him like they have Ziggler and Fandango and others who have got the injury bug? I hope.
That's the thing, too, with Wade Barrett. Jack Swagger, they say, injured him. And so, like, people have been giving crap for Jack about that. But it's just, like, I rewatched him throwing into the barricade. They're supposed to, like, Wade should have turned his, arm or whatever, to not make him injured. And I'm sure Wade doesn't, blame Jack Swagger for that. Like, other people, like, it's kind of like, it's just like but Del Rio, on the other hand, I don't know about that guy. He seems to like to injure people, and I'm sure it's not on purpose, but it's almost like he almost didn't get like trained to like make something look real or something, or without actually hitting someone, or just stuff like that. Like, he almost, like, skipped that step, and he's just, like, he's really hitting them, and that's what's causing, like, the concussions and stuff like that. But, it's just crazy. I really don't like Del Rio anyways, but, it's just, like, people are going to get hurt. If, I'm sure, like, Del Rio doesn't mean to injure people, and obviously Jack, I'm sure he didn't mean to injure Wade Barrett. It's kind of like a freak thing. It just kind of happens,
I think with the Jack Swagger Wade Barrett, it was just an unfortunate incident. It was the way the spot was. He hip tossed him into the barricade. He wasn't able to protect himself properly. As someone who was a wrestler and who knows the ins and outs of the ring, it's on you to protect yourself just as much as your opponent. You have to protect yourself while you're in there as well. As far as Del Rio, I've heard he's had a sour attitude towards people in the back. He hasn't been happy there for years. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's an ALP accidentally on purpose, especially with that Ziggler thing last year. Because Ziggler was ready to be a huge star, and then, boom, kicked in the head. Boom, concussion. Like, that one raises an eyebrow from me.
Next was a small segment with Stephanie and Nikki backstage. She pretty much just asked, when's your sister coming out, blah, blah, blah. And Nikki said that you're going to be eating a plate full of crap, pretty much, and that you're in for hell, pretty much. And that was pretty much that. Do you want to say anything about that segment?
I think any thought of Nikki Bella turning heel was dismissed by the way they booked it, and obviously it was furthering to the whole Brie Stephanie payoff later on.
Yeah, that is the word, that they were supposed to turn Nikki Bella heel, unless they turn her heel after SummerSlam.
Or at SummerSlam, costing.
At SummerSlam, causing Brie her match, and having her join, and that would be actually good. Actually, I think, because I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I've never really seen Nikki and Brie be separated before. Like, they're always both heels or both faces. So I think it would be really interesting to have one as a face and one as a heel.
Just for once. All the Total Diva teams are split up. Funkle-Dactyls are split up. Everybody's split up. So they might as well have those.
Pretty much. And then there was, just a little segment again with Goldust and Stardust. Being weird like usual. No, I'm just joking. They were talking about the tag team titles and saying that pretty much that they're going to win them again and that they're ready for this. And now this is going to set them up. I think they're going to they might have one more reign with the titles. I'm not really sure, but they're going to, be real close and tight probably until Royal Rumble, I'd say. Then they're kind of going to get tension a little bit. I have a feeling this is going to set them up for WrestleMania. I really do, because I thought they were maybe going to do this at SummerSlam, and that's why they were tension. But then they were like, okay, well, what can we do to make them stay together until next WrestleMania? And so that's why they turned Cody Rhodes into Stardust. And but I think that that's what's going to happen. They're going to try to set it up for next WrestleMania. Hopefully they do, because I would love to see them wrestle. I mean, I think everyone's wanted to see them wrestle for a while. And this was supposed to be last WrestleMania that they were supposed to fight, but they were still together and everything. So I really hope they do it this WrestleMania.
I agree. I had talked about it when we did previous podcasts together before the Wrestling Throwdown that, I wanted to see that match at WrestleMania 30. It didn't happen. I was actually ticked off at the original incarnation of Stardust, but I've gotten to live with it. The promo segments, the vignettes are entertaining. The most bizarre tag team in the WWE, what have you. And could they win the belts one more time? It's possible. I don't know. The Usos are really been the stalwarts of the tag team division for a while, and if they were going to have the Wyatts beat them, I don't know if Cody and Goldust can beat them, or Stardust and Goldust can beat them. But, the chase will be interesting, and maybe they'll chase, and the fact that they can't win them will set up for a turn, and like you're saying, maybe for Royal Rumble or WrestleMania.
That's what they said, actually. It's supposed to be a fatal four-way for the SummerSlam, for the tag titles. They're supposed to have, I'm guessing, the Usos, the Wyatt family, probably Goldust and Cody, or Goldust and Stardust, sorry, and probably Ryback, I'm guessing.
I'm thinking that.
And that would be a pretty good fatal four-way, I think.
Yeah, it hasn't been seen in a while. I think that would be good. Just don't put it on the pre-show, WWE. Don't do it again.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Stop jobbing out tag team wrestling.
They need to build their tag team division. That's why I was just like, oh my God, why don't they just put Damian Sandow and Heath Slater together? Because I am a huge fan of Heath Slater. I have loved him since I have seen him. I do not care how much hate he gets. I think he is talented. He is like the Damian Sandow. He doesn't get any credit for what he does. And it's funny, too, because he just got a pop a few weeks ago on a SmackDown, I heard. And I didn't watch that SmackDown, but I'm about ready to rewatch it just to see. But he got a huge pop. Heath Slater did, and it's just like, well, gee, that's funny. And then they were gonna put like Titus O'Neil and him together. I'm like, I don't like that. It's just like put him and Damian together. Him and Damian would be so good.
They should have kept the primetime players, kept them babyface.
That's another one they can fuck up. Sorry for my language. But yeah, they just mess up the tag team division like so bad, and it's just and Darren Young's still out with injury. Hopefully he comes out back soon. I really like him too. But yeah, and then we have Naomi and Natalya versus Cameron and Alicia Fox. And Naomi wins with the new submission move on Cameron. I thought that was kind of an interesting submission move.
Kind of a leg scissors choke out. It was cool.
Yeah.
Seems like they're trying to give Naomi the push again. Many people felt she might have been on track to win the Divas title before Oksana hurt her eye. Seems like they're now trying to get her back on track.
Yeah, I hope so. She is very good. She's like her Paige and AJ are the top three right now, and it's just she's so good. And Cameron, oh my God, I never liked this woman. She's just like the whole gimmick they have with her now, putting on makeup during matches and stuff like that. Like, what is that? That's just so ridiculous. Did you know that
Cameron was in Tough Enough a couple years ago? That
Stone
Cold.
Yeah.
And the girl that said her favorite match was like Alicia Fox versus like Melina or whatever, and like she was pulling up her pants on the ropes, and that was pissing off Trish. That was that girl. I don't know a lot of people remember that, but I found that out recently.
That is funny.
I didn't like her then, and it made me maybe like her even less now.
She's just bad. The funny thing is I think Eva Marie is better than her. Now, I'm just going to talk about Eva Marie for a minute. Eva Marie, I know a lot of people don't like her, but she has gotten better. You can see her improving like each time. She's doing more stuff in the ring now, and she's working a little bit better with people. Like I feel like she's better than Cameron, to tell you the truth now, because Cameron, it seems like Cameron doesn't even care, but at least Eva Marie is trying to get better, and she's trying to, do something. Because when Eva Marie first started off, she was horrible. And I've just watched a recent match with her, and it seems like she's really actually getting to know more moves, and she's doing some more stuff in the ring. So hopefully, if she really works at it, hopefully Eva Marie can get up there, and hopefully,
When they paired her with AJ a few SmackDowns ago, and they ended up getting 2 matches out of it. I think on 2 straight SmackDowns they wrestled. And both matches were pretty decent, especially for Eva Marie standards. And I felt at that point like, wow, they're confident. They're throwing her against AJ, like, all right, like she's gotten better. So I see the improvement.
Definitely.
And Total Divas, they kind of made her sympathetic, too. Like, they turned her babyface on Total Divas.
Yeah. She looks like she's heel now. It looks like most of them are heel, pretty much.
Yeah. It's gonna be a hot mess. I don't even want to watch it. With all the turn on each other and all the twists. Can you imagine?
Oh man, that's just gonna be amazing. I like Total Divas when I watch it.
I do, but I feel like I hope I hope. Huh?
I guess Rosa Mendez is on the new season 2 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that they were going to release her. WWE even said that they were going to release her with Xana unless, but they said since Total Divas wanted her, they said, well, I guess you're going to have to stay now. Yeah, I think that's funny.
Yeah, it's had plenty of issues in the past.
Chris Jericho versus Seth. This was a very, very good match. I love them both. Good back and forth match. Seth went for his curb stomp, and obviously Chris Jericho got out of it and then put him into the walls of Jericho, and Seth got out of that. And then Seth did something. He was trying to, I guess, do his knee thing on the top rope or across body. I'm not sure. And Chris hit him with the code breaker. And then he didn't even try to cover him, and then of course, Bray Wyatt comes out and they attack him, which I seen coming. I'm just like, I know this match isn't gonna end fairly. I'm just like, there's no way. And he came out and they attacked him and everything. And we didn't see Seth again, so Seth obviously didn't care, and he didn't attack him again or anything. He just kind of left after that. But yeah, this is just more fume for Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt for SummerSlam.
All in all, I thought Y2J was kind of the star of the show. I mean, the MVP, if you will, of this week's Raw. Great stuff with Stephanie, like we talked about. Great match with Seth, and obviously furthered the storyline with Bray Wyatt. So he really accomplished 3 different things on the show, and I thought Jericho really was very entertaining.
Yeah, Jericho was very, very good tonight, or last night. But yeah, the match was very good though. I thought it was a very good match. It helped Seth, get ready for the big leagues, and Chris Jericho, helping along in the way, putting him over, which was nice. I just wish it would have ended cleanly. But of course, they gotta make Seth look like he was gonna get beat if Chris Jericho covered him. But whatever, because he's heel. That's what I don't like about what they do to heels. It's just like, oh, that's why kind of sometimes I want Seth to still be a babyface, because if he was, then he would be like winning matches cleanly. But he's so good as a heel though. He really is. He's such a good talker as a heel. He's just such a very good. Because everyone thought, that's what the shock of the moment was. Everyone thought Dean was going to turn, but Seth turned, and everyone was just like, what? Seth's a babyface. But it's just like, and I thought that too, but after seeing him work as a heel for the first few weeks, I'm just like, Seth is a good heel. He's a very good heel, and he's CM Punk number 2. He really is. He can do both, like the heel and the face, just like CM Punk can.
I feel like Rollins is probably a better high flyer than Punk. At this point, his work quality was probably better than Punk's towards the end of Punk's run, because Punk was hurt and worn down, and his heart wasn't there.
I have said, people have gotten pissed at me because I said that I think Seth is better in the ring than CM Punk. Well, and I think CM Punk's better, and I like CM Punk better than Seth. But the thing is Seth can do more in the ring. CM Punk can. And, you know,
You're-
it's just like,
That,
just imagine Seth a few years more down the road. Just imagine what else he can do, you know?
I
It's
mean,
just amazing.
he's very athletic, and as you get older, that diminishes a little bit, and that obviously had kind of affected CM Punk. If you go back to Ring of Honor, I think if you compare his work rate he had with Ring of Honor and Seth Rollins of the past 2 years, and even Seth as Ring of Honor champ as Tyler Black, very comparable. I think Punk gets the edge because when it comes to the promos, I think Punk's one of the greatest of all time when it comes to promos, right up there with Jericho and Piper and Rocky and all the great talkers.
Definitely. Definitely. He's amazing. I'm going to miss him, too, because I think he's done forever now.
It ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. I don't really want to speak on it too much in this episode, but it ain't looking good.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about that another time, but yeah. And then this is the last segment of the night, and this was a very good segment. Oh my God, this was just incredible. I've been waiting for this match. Stephanie comes out, and she talks about, you know, like I said before, how in jail has been ruining her life. She regrets doing it, and she tells Brie to come out. And Brie comes out, and Brie calls her a bitch again, tells her to go to hell. And Stephanie pretty much wants her to drop all charges. And Brie's just like, I'll drop all charges if I want my job back. And Stephanie's like, okay, you got it. She's just like, actually, there's one more thing. I want a match. And Stephanie's just like, oh, for the Divas title, okay. Or what do you want, a Total Divas match? And Brie's just like, no, I don't want either. I want a match with you. And Stephanie just starts crying and stuff, and she's just like, I can't do this. I haven't been in the ring in 10 years. She's just like, I'm not ready for this, Brie. Anything but this. Please, I'll give you anything. And Brie's just saying, I'll see you in court, because if I don't have a match with you, I'm not dropping the charges. And Stephanie's just like, okay, wait, Brie, I accept. But at SummerSlam, and then she slaps her, and Brie obviously gets knocked off the ring, and this is the famous line of the night: I'll make you my bitch."
So many memes.
That was so great. That was just amazing, you know. Stephanie is such a good heel, and this is just such a good feud, and I loved how they ended them, you know, at the end of the night. I love, and you know, Brie gets back at the ring, and it's just all chaos comes out, and you got to get Joey Mercury out here, and Jamie Noble, and all
oh my God, crazy crowd. Jamie Noble was over. Look, I don't remember too many times they ended a Raw, especially a Raw hyping up into SummerSlam with divas. I know Stephanie is obviously arguably the biggest heel in the company and becoming Vince McMahon herself. But this was really different and really fresh, and Brie's really getting a lot of steam, and you know, this is very good. I was impressed. At first I'm like, they're main eventing this with Steph and Brie, but I was not disappointed once they actually did it. Very impressive.
And Joe got off again. All right then. Well, I guess I'll still continue talking about it. But I agree with Joe. Like, the whole thing is very well. With ending it with Brie and Stephanie, it was just incredible. And Joe's back. Joe, can you hear me?
Yep, back to that weird screen, but at least you can hear me. Look, I think, like I said, it proved me wrong, because I can only think of a few instances where Divas main evented Raw, and usually it was with Trish and Lita. Like, we're going back on this one. So, incredible moment. Steph, obviously channeling her father with a lot of the heat, and just incredible stuff. Brie has come such a long way in her acting. I thought when they did the Kane storyline, her acting was pitiful, absolutely pitiful. But I think she's worked hard in putting emotion into her promos and really believing what she's saying. And that's the key when you cut a promo. You gotta believe what you're saying. Or else it's gonna sound contrite. So I feel like Brie has come a long way, and this is gonna be a marquee match, one of the most highly marquee matches on SummerSlam. I have a trivia question for you, Haley. Do you remember the last time, and they said 10 years ago, Stephanie was in the ring, and who that opponent was?
I do. It was like right when I think I was like 9 or 10. It was right when I started watching wrestling. Shoot. I want to say.
This is a tricky one.
I don't know if she ever feuded with her, though. I want to say. I want to say Trish because I know Trish had a thing, but that was in 2001, so that
They
wasn't.
did. That was when Linda was all sedated, and ended up Trish got the payoff slapping Vince at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It was not Trish Stratus. Do you know who it was? You want me to give it to you?
Yeah, you have to.
In an I Quit match, and if she lost, she had to retire from the GM position of SmackDown. She wrestled Vincent Kennedy McMahon. That's right, a father versus daughter.
Yeah, now I remember.
Funny story, this was days before her and Hunter's actual wedding, and Hunter went to Vince.
Yeah, that was so good. That whole storyline with her turning on her dad and everything like that, that whole thing was so good. And I rewatched that because I wasn't watching wrestling back in the day. I've watched a whole bunch of older stuff, with my brother and stuff.
Wrestling era is often forgotten about, but there's some hidden gems there, and that's one of them.
Yeah. That was just so good. This feud's going to be amazing, though. Like, I'm so excited for this. I've been wanting to see this match. I love Brie, and I think she can wrestle. Definitely better than Nikki, for that matter. No offense to Nikki. But Brie, she also, her husband's amazing, so that's probably why he's been working with her. But it's just, she's so good, and it's just, the whole thing was just so good, and I loved how they ended it with two girls. I mean, it was just amazing, and it was just so great. I just loved the whole thing. Overall, the show was amazing. I thought it was a very good Raw. Not too many matches, but a lot of good segments. Very good segments. They pretty much just focused on the Brie, Bella, and the Stephanie thing mostly. I mean, in the beginning, they focused on, John Cena and Brock Lesnar, but after that, it was pretty much just focused on Stephanie and Brie the whole time, and so you knew something big was going to happen since they were focusing on that the whole time.
I mean, it really was incredible. Like I said, I'm glad the Divas have been featured prominently. I feel like the Divas are really looking strong. We talked about AJ and Paige. We talked about Naomi. Top to bottom, I feel like the Divas division is looking strong. And then you got Stephanie, the vindictive one, kind of hovering over it all. And, the potential of dream matches there with certain girls. And now we're getting that with Brie Bella. And I think this is going to be fun. And going to be an awesome match. I can't wait to see Stephanie in the ring. It's been 10 years. What is it going to look like? Is Triple H taught her a lot? We know she's a workout beast. Is she going to overpower Brie? We shall see. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, she had to, just because she hasn't been in the ring in 10 years, she was going to be, so out of shape. And it's just come on, you work out. You're completely fine. You'll be fine. But, yeah, this is just very good. The match was, the Raw was very good. So, guys, if you have not watched this Raw, I really recommend it. It was a very good Raw. Dean wasn't there tonight, though, but he was in a dark match. I don't know if you guys know, but there was a dark match. It was Dean Ambrose and Big Show, so Big Show returned. That's what I was talking about, and versus Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
But yeah, which would have been I would have liked to see that match on live, but oh well. But yeah, the match was the Raw was very good, and yeah, Joe, any concluding statements?
I'd give it a solid honest. I think they accomplished their goal in hyping SummerSlam, and it makes me, as a wrestling fan, that much more interested in SummerSlam, and I might get the network just to watch SummerSlam. They did such a good job the last 2 weeks. And I thought 2 weeks it was iffy, but they closed strong with Brock, and this week the whole show, we talked about the stuff with Jericho, just all the bullet points, everything. There really wasn't too many weak points of this show, with the exception of maybe the Fandango segment. Not too many weak points, and that impressed me top to bottom. It's tough to maintain that 3-hour show without Brock Lesnar, without the key guy you're building SummerSlam around, and they managed to do a good job. Haley, I want to thank you for having me on. Look forward to doing multiple episodes of you of the Wrestling Throwdown. And by the way, you're welcome on me letting you use that name. People don't remember I used to host the weekly Sports Throwdown on 990 WBOB.
It was great having you, Joe. You've got me back into this, and I just love it. It's so amazing, just talking about wrestling, But I will see you guys on the next review. This has been Wrestling Throwdown with Joe and Haley. Bye. See you next time.
Joe Passarelli, subscribe. Thank you for watching.